The Master Sword takes many names. The sword that seals the darkness, the blade of evil's bane, the sacred sword, and originally the goddess sword. But it doesn't just destroy evil, sometimes it even aids the wicked. The finale of Skyward Sword marked the beginning of a cycle and an end of peace. With Demise's curse at the root, the Master Sword would later act as a key for both sides. In many occurrences, Ganon was able to use the blade to fulfill his own desires. In this video, I'll be diving into the legendary sword's dark side. What's good, my homies? It's Edible Incredible, and to begin, let's start with the event that shifted the timelines forever. The pulling of the Master Sword in Ocarina of Time. It was proclaimed to bring peace, but in reality it acted as the final key to the Triforce. In Hyrule Story, it says how Ganondorf was apprised of Link's movements, meaning he was informed. Your guess is as good as mine to who would have told him, maybe a Gerudo or Twin Rofa, or maybe just an innocent bystander in Castletown. Either way, even though Link pulled the blade in the name of peace, Ganon used this opportunity to seize his own wish, ruler of the Oregon, for 7 years. Let's now jump to a game that precedes Ocarina in its own reality, the Wind Waker. Probably the most interesting way Ganon used the sword in the whole series. He didn't just kill the sages responsible for upholding the Master Sword's ability to demolish evil, he also left a trap for the next hero by leaving all those enemies in the old Hyrule Castle. Or maybe it was a coincidence, I mean, who knows? These monsters could have been left here ages ago when the Great Flood happened. And if that's the case, I'd assume they're the leftovers of an ancient war. While the sword is indeed the blade of evil's bane, at the same time it has long played another role. You see, it is also a sort of key, a most wretched little key that has kept the seal on me and my magic intact. By withdrawing the blade, you have broken that seal. Even though the King of Red Lions believed the room in which this sword was kept was unknown to Ganon, he still was able to locate Zelda in that very room and even place another trap for Link. So after all, Ganondorf wanted the next hero to pull the blade. Without it, his magic and knowledge of the current Zelda would have been lost. You can even say the same for A Link to the Past, where the Hero of Time lost to Ganondorf, but he was sealed in the Sacred Realm, the very place where the Triforce used to prosper. As we know, he turned this realm into the Dark World, setting up the next hero's journey. But without the pulling of the Master Sword, the entire downfall and adult timeline for that matter wouldn't have happened. So maybe you shouldn't have listened to Navi after all. So now let's briefly touch on Breath of the Wild. Calamity Ganon was resurrected by the Yiga clan, which was a direct result of the royal family shunning the Sheikah and their tech. It's unknown how exactly the Yiga clan were able to resurrect Ganon, and whether or not the Master Sword had anything to do with it. But one thing I want to point out is that at the time of Ganon's awakening, Link had already pulled the blade, as we see him with it throughout the memories. Looking at Ocarina and the Wind Waker, pulling the sword acted as a seal breaker for Ganon's power. This could be the case for Breath of the Wild, but there's not evidence for or against it. Now looking back at Demise's defeat, I find it fascinating that he was sealed inside the Master Sword. Of course, his reincarnations didn't physically come out of the blade, but they did benefit from it being used. It's a double-edged sword in a sense. On one side, you have the guidance and protection of Fi, and on the other, the hate and wickedness of Demise. Just remember, the next time you pull that legendary blade, that Fi isn't the only one in there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and as always, stay hyped. Love you guys. Peace!